Hi, my name is Paul Ahrens and I work on the Global Service Training team. I'm joined by two of my colleagues who will introduce themselves now.
Hello, my name is Ikuko Sato. I work with Field Service Quality Engineering.
Hello, my name is Justin Morgan. I'm the manager of the Field Service Quality Engineering team.
Today, I'd like to talk to you about some of the challenges that we're faced with as technicians, a solution that we've come up with here at Apple, what you're allowed to run it on, how to get it, and more importantly, how to run it and interpret the results. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about some of the troubles we've had with troubleshooting wireless issues and display issues on some of our newer portables. The problem we have is troubleshooting these often requires us to be either in the customer's operating system or a known good operating system. Booting to this can take some time. Furthermore, if we're unsure of a connection, it requires take apart. And of course, that oftentimes requires that we check a machine in. So the solution that we've come up with here at Apple is the Clamshell Service Diagnostic. This diagnostic allows you to check for the presence of the airport module, Bluetooth, LCD, as well as the ambient light sensor, all without having to open the machine because it runs in EFI. One of the great things about this is that it's very quick. It runs in less than about 2 minutes, and in that time, it's able to successfully check the connection, again, between the airport, Bluetooth, the LCD, as well as the ambient light sensor. This is going to help you pinpoint if there's either connections that are completely disconnected, or if they're loose, or of course if the module is not being recognized. The great thing as well is that we can get video while bypassing the operating system and not having to rely on the customer's OS. You might be wondering, when should I be running Clamshell Service Diagnostic? So what we've done is we've kind of broken it into two main categories: video issues and wireless issues. For video issues, we recommend that you run it if you're getting no video, no backlight, flickering, corrupted video, any color issues, brightness issues, or any lines in your LCD. For wireless, we've broken it into two main categories: airport and Bluetooth. If you're having difficulty detecting the airport device, getting poor signal or a slow connection, for Bluetooth, if it's not recognized, doesn't pair, or if it loses connection, CSD can really help you diagnose these problems quickly. The machines that you'll be able to run this on, we generally classify as unibody portables. If you look at the list here, it includes the new polycarbonate MacBook, as well as all MacBook Airs and our newer MacBook Pro models, both 13, 15, and 17-inch models. To install the diagnostic, you'll need a Mac running 10.6, a free USB port, and a USB drive with at least 1 gig of capacity. During the install process, you are also going to need the administrator account and password for that machine. You can get it in 3 different locations at this time. It's currently available for download on the main ServiceSource homepage. There's a button right up top next to the Bluetooth Service Diagnostic. You can find it if you're familiar with the Clamshell Screening Process KBase article, CP1100. There's been a link added within the troubleshooting guide there for a direct download for CSD as well. And of course, our disk images site. If you're familiar with this, it's towards the top. It's one of the more recent uploads, and it can be downloaded from there as well. Let's talk about what the installation process looks like. Once you've downloaded the disk image, you're going to want to mount that, and it's going to have 3 files: the installer, the README file, and the license agreement. You want to plug in the drive that you plan on installing it to and double-click the installer. Like other diagnostic installers, this is going to have to repartition the drive, which means that any data on that drive will be removed, and you'll be left with 3 partitions: one for the diagnostic, one for the logs, and one for the remaining free space. Once you've run the installer, you have to type in the admin password, and the installation takes about a minute. To run the diagnostic, you'll want to plug it into the unit that you plan on running, boot the unit, and hold down the D key. What's going to happen after you hold the D key, you're going to want to hold it down for about 20 seconds. You should get a gray screen, solid gray video for around 45 seconds, followed by a black screen with a white cursor for around 10 seconds. Then it'll be followed by roughly 10 seconds of testing. Again, these times are approximate, and will vary depending on the machine that you're running it on. You'll know that CSD is running because the system indicator light will flash rapidly, as shown in the previous slide. you'll know CSD is completed because the system indicator light will kind of glow solid for you. Once that's done, if you are getting video, you'll get a results page that looks something like this. You can see that at the top we have the LCD information, and below that we have the remaining modules. You'll notice that serial number at this time should actually read as all zeros. If you're getting something other than zeros at this time, that is generally representative of a bad LCD. If we zoom in on the lower results, you can see that the airport, Bluetooth, LCD, and ambient light sensor modules all simply return either a found or not found result depending on the diagnostic. It's very simple to interpret these results. Down here you'll notice that we do give you a diagnostic receipt. It's important that you input this diagnostic receipt into GSX when you're ordering a replacement clamshell. This diagnostic code is going to help us here at Apple understand how you're using this diagnostic when troubleshooting machines, and it's also going to help us make our diagnostics better as we get results as they apply to clamshells that come back in for service. So again, the diagnostic receipt in GSX is very important for us. If you have any further questions, I did mention earlier KBS article CP1100. It's a great resource if you'd like some more tips on troubleshooting the clamshell or what the diagnostic can do for you when troubleshooting. You'll see that here, and again, KBS article CP1100. At this point, we'd like to turn it over for any further questions that we have with Ikuko and Justin.
Thanks, Paul. So we have quite a few questions coming in here. So if you have any questions for us, please make sure you use the text box there. So the first question here, a few folks have asked, can I install multiple diagnostics on one drive?
Great question. In certain instances, yes, you can install CSD, Clamshell Service Diagnostic, as well as Notebook Battery Adapter Diagnostic onto one drive. The way that you would do that is install CSD onto the drive. When you install CSD, you'll have a third partition, which is called the spare partition. Onto that spare partition, you can install the Notebook Battery Adapter Diagnostic. There are two diagnostics that cannot be installed onto the same drive, and they are CSD and GPT, the graphics processor test. The reason for that is both of those diagnostics are D-boots. What that means is once you have attached the drive to the customer's computer, you hold down D to boot into those diagnostics. Both are D-boots because they have to do with video issues and troubleshooting video issues, and we want to make sure that you're able to run the diagnostic when there's no video.
Thank you. So we have another quick question here. We're wondering if the clamshell service diagnostic is mandatory.
The clamshell service diagnostic is mandatory for the computers that Paul mentioned, all of the computers that are unibody that have the clamshell service part. For a comprehensive list of these systems, please see CP1100.
Okay, another good question here. Can we use the dyad feedback email address for other diagnostics?
Absolutely, please do. We actually recently created that email address to gather your feedback about all of our diagnostics.
Okay, we have a little more specific question here. Is eyesight tested with the clamshell service diagnostic?
Great question, because the eyesight camera is part of the clamshell service part. In version 1 of CSD, which is in everybody's hands, the eyesight camera is not tested. We do have plans to include that in version 2 of the diagnostic.
Okay, another good question here. Can I use a flash drive?
You can use a flash drive. However, installation onto a flash drive can be finicky, which is why we recommended hard drives.
Okay. Can I run the clamshell service diagnostic on a machine running 10.5?
You can run the clamshell service diagnostic on a computer running 10.5. The requirement for 10.6 is simply to install CSD onto a drive.
Okay. So we have another good question here. If the airport shows not found, should we replace the airport card?
In terms of airport not found, yes, there are definitely instances where the airport card is not part of the clamshell assembly. Definitely troubleshoot the airport card first and the connection to that airport card. Please see in CP1100, you will see a link for the training material on CSD. And within that training material, you'll find fantastic information for troubleshooting when any of the modules are not found.
Okay, we have another airport-related question here. What if the airport card is visible, but the customer complains that losing connection is intermittent? Will CSD help with this type of issue?
In terms of intermittent losing connection, at that point, it's likely that troubleshooting within the OS is a better method. CSD will take a snapshot picture of whether the airport card is found or not. It will not continue to look for that information.
Okay. So another great question here. We're getting quite a few questions, so thank you. Is CSD only, if CSD only shows found or not found, how does it help determine antenna connectivity issues for Bluetooth or airport?
That's a great question. In terms of antennas, CSD is unable to see whether antennas are connected. The reason for that is that antennas are not able at this time to give electrical feedback to indicate that they're present.
Great. So another excellent question, another quick question, I should say. Can this tool be used on older units than the ones that we mentioned earlier?
Not at this time, just on the units that Paul mentioned.
Okay, another great question here. What if there's no video on the unit?
That's a great question, and one of the items that we actually created a contingency plan for. Again, this diagnostic is a deboot. All you have to do is hold down the D key to boot to the diagnostic. We wanted minimal input on the technician end so that you could run the diagnostic. When the diagnostic runs, it should write a log of the test results to the CSD_log volume. Once the test is run, the way that you know that the test is running is that once the test starts to run, the system indicator light will start to flash. As soon as the test is finished, the light will glow steadily. At that point, what you want to do is turn off the computer, take the drive, connect it to a computer that has video, and take a look at the log.
Okay, great. So we have another good question here, talking about the order of when to run this diagnostic. Would you suggest running the clamshell service diagnostic before or after ASD?
That is a great question. In terms of the order of running these diagnostics, what we recommend is running CSD while you're with the customer. In all of our testing of CSD, we found that running it from booting the computer all the way to results being written is about a minute. And so the intent of CSD is to actually run it at the counter and to help you troubleshoot.
Okay, I think we might make that our final question for today, but certainly if you continue the questions here and we weren't able to get to your question, we'll certainly try to answer those in the rebroadcast. So back to you, Paul.
Great. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in today. Please join us for our next webcast on December 9th at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, where we'll be discussing best practices for handling service parts. A record of this broadcast will be available within a couple days via ServiceSource. And again, we thank you for tuning in. Have a great day.